I'll take over. I'm Jeff Petkeck with Wind Supply in Cleveland, Ohio. We supply the water heaters for your facility through EB Cats, installed them. What you have down there are two of the newest models in the series with A.O. Smith, the XWH series, 800,000 BTUs, the largest in the series. They are the top of the line. You got a Cadillac is what I'm trying to say. So 96,000% efficiency. And I know down there you have two of those units with one storage tank. You've got, so you're the maintenance guys that will be working on the units, or anybody have a boiler license here? So you can perform the maintenance on them and do the annual maintenance as needed, because they are classified over 200,000 BTUs as a boiler, even though they're for domestic water, so on and so forth. So that'll be key for you on the annual maintenance to keep your records, analog everything, and keep it up to date that way. So going over them, basically they should be a hands-free unit. The main thing to check on a monthly and they tell you here, monthly on the T&P and things like that. 6 months is okay, but you can absolutely do it monthly.
What does T&P mean?
Temperature and pressure relief valve. You open that up, make sure it's functioning, closing back up, so then you're protected with your pressure. Your vent piping, you're just going to manually look, make sure no birds are making nests on your exhaust, things like that. Keep an eye on that. And then your condensate drain, you should have the condensate drain there with, I think you have the neutralizing kit on there as well. So you just have to make sure that that's flowing, and obviously.
How often do you got to change the stones in there then?
The media should be changed probably annually. It doesn't really tell you in here. As long as it's functioning and you can see the media in there, then it's doing its job. It's not really going to break down if you want to change it annually. If not, you just keep an eye on it and make sure it's doing this.
So when the pipe goes out by the drain, there should always be just a little constant drip, condensate.
Oh, absolutely. When that heater's fired up, there should always be condensate. If not, if you don't have condensation, then you have a problem. It's either in the trap or the neutralizing kit's getting backed up.
Is there a drain at the back of the hot water tank to open it up like your water tank at home, like a domestic hot water tank?
No, there's no.
Get the sludge out of it?
No, because that's a closed system. It's a stainless steel heat exchanger.
Okay.
The only way to know when that needs flushed or serviced is when your delta T's change. If you don't have enough delta T, which is your cold coming in, you check your temperature there, and your hot water coming out should be 40. It's on the sheet in here. Once I mess it up, then I'll mess everything up. I think it's 45 degrees on this unit, or percent. It'll show you delta T's on here.
Well, that's the O&M manual, so I don't know.
It lists them in here for these, I believe. I have them in my folder here. It'd probably be easier because I'm going to lose this page. This is very finicky, it seems like to me.
Do you have printouts of this, or is this all going to be in the big giant book that we get at the end of the...
Well, you should have received, each one of these units should have this manual. It's an operations manual is what it is.
So it's on the unit?
What's that?
It's on the unit?
It should have come with the unit, yes.
You got to get it.
I know, so this is another one of those booklets that's going to be in a big giant package that we get at the end of the show, and...
Yeah, and you can also have the thumb drive as well.
So you can print that out and use it as a checklist or make your own up on a spreadsheet or something like that would be advisable as well. And that's what they talk about, the temperature rise. And the only way to check that is on your incoming water temperature and your outgoing. You've got to put a thermostat on there, check the temperatures. And I have a sheet here. I'll give that to you. It'll show you it's in here as well. 13 degrees, 45%. So it has to be that. And you keep an eye on that. If you catalog that, then you'll know, hey, it's dropping here. I'm getting clogging in that heat exchanger. You would be able to flush that out if needed.
How often would something like that happen?
Oh, it takes time. It'll take a long time. Yeah, those heat exchangers are stainless steel, and but again, it all depends on your water, how hard your water is, and they talk a lot about that on your water. I'm sure you had that tested prior to all this as well. So your hardness on your water will affect that.
Okay, so how do we flush the heat exchanger?
There's instructions in there. You would isolate it with your valves, and then flush it out
Okay.
with a
We can
solution.
look at all that when we go down there.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it, but we can go.
Yeah, we go down there.
You're going, okay, good. Yeah, we're gonna go down, we're just giving, questions.
And then, like we talked about, there might be a little debris in that strainer. If you have a Y strainer on the system, I do believe you do.
Yeah.
So you gotta maintain your Y strainer as well. That helps keep the heat exchanger clear because you're catching your contaminants prior to hopefully entering the unit. So that's basically your monthly checklist, and then every 6 months you want to check your anything for leaks. It's basically normal maintenance on just walking around visualizing no leaks, no extra water sitting here, no smelly gas or anything like that. TNP, again, they want you to check that. It's very important as well. And water chemistry, you take a sample, you send it out to a lab, and they'll tell you where you're at. I don't know of many people who do that. That's up to you guys if you want to do that. They advise it because that's going to help the whole system run perfect, if you may. I don't think you have bad water here. If we were out and where you got well water and things like that, that's where you have more of a concern. Your water here is probably pretty darn good. So go back up to the top, but that's basically your monthly and 6 months. But annually, you want it checked. You got to go through it, and you have to have it certified by a boiler person to keep up to date with the state. And that's what they go through here. You're still going through the same things that you're doing monthly and every 6 months, and you're checking for leaks, verifying the flue's in good shape, nothing's blocking. All your pressures, and there should be gauges on your system as well. I don't know if we have.
A gauge on the inlet coming in?
Is there?
I don't know.
I haven't looked at it. I don't know. I didn't install it.
Pressure gauge?
Yeah, pressure and or temperature gauges,
It's on the inlet of the water heater.
We'll have to look, but I know there's a pressure gauge on the system coming into the building.
Okay, so where's the main water inlet to this building?
It's in the mechanical room, it's in that.
Yeah, we'll walk.
That's where
Yeah,
the
we
main
can
water
We'll
is.
walk through there and
Okay.
I'll point everything
It's on the
out.
west wall of the mechanical room.
Okay.
Right.
Up through the floor.
And basically, when we go down there and we can look at it on the unit itself, the diagnostics are all on that screen. It's got a little computer in there, and it's going to tell you if something fails. It's going to show you what failed.
It'll come with a code number on it, or?
Oh yeah, well it tells you, blocked inlet, check this, not firing. Then you go through the sequence. They go through a sequence. The first thing the blowers have to start. Make sure you have air going out. And then it'll call for spark. And then it'll call for the gas. Once it shows it's got exhaust, and then it shows it's got the spark, then it gives it the gas, it fires up. If anything goes wrong in between there, it tries it 3 times, and then it defaults to shutting down. And then you have to go back, and it'll show you the error code, and then you try and figure out
Resets on
that.
there, or if it,
Well, you
once
can't-
it fails, just call somebody.
Well, once it fails, and that's important, that's a good question. So once it fails, your best thing to do is to call the number on the side of the tank, the tech service. And what that does is also they keep a log of everything. So they'll have a history on that heater. They already have them on this because we had some troubles when we were hooking them up. They weren't correctly firing in series and things like that. So I know they have your serial numbers logged already, and they can go back and see all that. So when you call next time, it's all kept in their records, and they can see what's going on with
So
that
is there a
unit.
lead and a lag hot water heater, or is it just
Alternate.
going to fire?
They're alternate, yep.
Okay.
You have a lead,
Will they-
lag.
They'll change every month, the lead and the lag, or will they?
Yes, I think it's every 3 months is how it's set up. Yep. So they definitely, we've got all that dialed in. You know, you guys should just be keeping an eye on them and making sure nothing fails. And clean, nothing around it. That's a big thing they'll talk about as well in here. You know, no mops and buckets and paint
Nothing supposed to be
cans.
in a boiler room except installed equipment. So
Yeah,
that's an old.
there you go, right. So that'll help you a lot with that. Then they're asking you to perform a start and checkup to verify that's a whole deal that you got to do when you do it for the state. You're supposed to perform all these duties, you know, to make sure that the boiler's in good shape. And technically, this is just a hot water heater, okay? Because it's in an open system that's heating domestic water. If it was in a closed system with your radiant floor heating or some kind of heating system, then it would be considered a boiler. This is still considered a hot water heater, but over 200,000 BTUs in the state, they want to treat it like a boiler.
What's the temperature on the water coming out?
Whatever you need it to be.
Or what's it set at?
So it's set at 140.
Okay.
If you can flip to that other drawing. So it goes through the mixing valve, and then I think that's set at whatever the inspector had us set at so people don't get burned, 115 degrees or.
Okay, so the mixing valve is mixing cold water with the hot water?
Correct.
So it's at 140 degrees. What's the water coming out of the hot water tank?
No, so the water coming out of the hot water tank, I don't know, you zoom back in on that?
I tried to click on it, I don't know.
Maybe you went up too far on the screen.
Get your cursor up on that, and drop that down, right over here.
Oh,
That little plus.
And go ahead and hit that to 100%. Then you just got to.
Okay, I got you.
So the water coming out of the water heater is 140 degrees.
Okay.
Water goes to the kitchen at 140 degrees. It tees off and goes to the mixing valve, mixes with cold water, and then the rest of the building is set at 115 degrees.
The heat exchanger, so that goes back to your the question we talked, or what we brought up about the delta T there. So if you have a difference of 54 degrees, then you have to clean the heat exchanger, and that's where table 22. I have that. I can show that to you. Yours is on the bottom because it's the largest unit, and it gives you where you should be in that delta T. So, and that's the difference between your cold and your hot going out. Whatever that difference is your delta T. So, you should never have to change that or clean the heat exchanger as long as you maintain your Y strainer and you got good incoming water. I think you're going to be fine. I think I got you covered here.
Expansion tank?
Any more questions? Expansion tank? There's one on the system.
Storage tank, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what he's showing me, right?
He's doing water heater and storage tank, it's all.
Oh, so I'm saying.
It's part of the system.
Okay.
Yeah. The storage tank's just holding water. That's all it's doing. You know, you're.
We'll look at that one.
Yeah.
On that. So this is where your main water comes in to the building. So this is your main shutoff valve. So you've got a leak. And first one night we shut the water off and then look for the valves in the ceiling.
Is there a shut off for the library, or does the library water come from here?
Yeah, this is the whole building. There's no separate feed from the library.
So the library water comes from here. Does
Yes.
the hot water from here feed the library also?
It does. And they had to put meters on so that you could bill them or whatever. A pressure reducing valve because you have 120 psi coming into the building. You can't run your flush valve like that, it's too hard. So this is reduced down to like 80. There's a pressure gauge up there. This is your bypass.
That's the inlet water temperature coming from the street?
Yeah.
That's not hot water.
Correct. It's the water temperature from the street, you're at 55 degrees.
Backflow preventer?
Backflow preventer. So the main water, then the cold water goes up, it feeds, the feed branches off and feeds the rest of the water. Over, comes down, goes over here, you see that check valve there, the blue check valve? Yeah. So I believe that's your feed to your water heater, so you don't get hot water back.
So that's what we talked about. You have your safety valves. You can do it now. Make sure you just you can hear the water run out. It comes out. That's your second safety, your TMP, your gold. As long as it shuts. As far as
Domestic water.
yeah, this is your potable water.
What kind of It's probably because the valve wasn't open before.
Right. And these are your neutralizing tanks. These are really nice. You can see the media. Open up to look at it. See your stone in there? So that comes in a little bit lower.
Okay, how do we take these things apart?
Well, it's a union on the end here. You see it, you back the nut off, and then that'll unscrew there. You'll have to undo your clamps there.
Okay, so I can take that off on that side. Will that thing pop out of there? Or is that container just in there?
Yeah, no, it'll slide out of there.
Okay.
These will move up. Get it out of there.
Well, I mean, those brackets are
Yeah, they'll move.
pretty, so you can just pop that
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah, there's one already. There's some one. But that's going to be fine. The main thing is you can see your media. If it ever goes, you'll see it if it gets plugged up with anything. But all that's doing is neutralizing your hot water, taking the acidity out. So those are pretty much maintenance free as well. You can see them. That's awesome. Most of them are solid coverage. You got to look at it. This is great.
Taking a condensate from around the tank, spraying it through,
That's correct.
and then through that, so
That's correct. Takes your condensate. Yeah, it takes the acidity
So
out.
condensation, we talk about, we're going to keep your pressure every 1 point.
Yep.
you should see that a little bit of water there all the time.
Yeah, especially when they're flared up. When they're running, you should see it flowing actually. And to get into these units, they're just snap-ins, snap off like that. You can see in there. The vacuum in here, guys, clean that out a little bit. Keep it clean in there.
Okay, when you're in here, is there any filter or any kind of firing plug or any kind of anything? It's all electric? There's no,
Spark igniter. No, you don't have to clean.
okay, igniters, yeah.
No, the igniters that are in there, if they go bad, you'll have to change them. But they're
That on a heater or just comes off?
what's that? No, the whole thing comes off.
So I'm not looking forward to doing this.
Yeah, don't.
We will never have
And
to
we
do
should
it.
shut the power off before we start playing around in here. Yeah,
Where would the igniter be?
it's gonna be down in here. Somewhere in front, I believe, is where we're in front of that.
The front cover will come off just like the top.
Just like the top.
Okay, don't worry about it. We'll look at them on the
Right.
front. I doubt if that thing will ever go bad in the next 7 years, right?
Oh, yeah. So this is your exhaust, this is your intake. The only thing to look at is somewhere up on the roof, unfortunately, if it ever gets blocked.